my research study is development of cognitive diagnostics assessment to measure the mastery of algebraic skill among Form 2 students. And my supervisor that invigilating me now is Professor Madhya Dr. Lim Hui Lian. For the background, okay, why I choose the CDA is my research study is they have huge drastic changes of assessment format since the implementation of PPIM 2013-2025. Therefore, they have a various method of assessment, diagnostic assessment that implemented in the PPIM. So one of it is a cognitive diagnostic assessment. Then I'm choose the CDA for my research study. So why I choose the CDA? Because CDA is a widely used to identify students' performance in various approach, such as mastery and non-mastery, strength and weaknesses, error analysis in multiple disciplines. So all the scholars that I reviewed is doing the CDA in a mathematics. So all the mathematics subjects or topics. So I choose the algebra as my concern to investigate, diagnose the student performance in algebra because the algebra is the motherboard of learning mathematics, especially in higher level. Okay, therefore the algebraic skill across in all topics in the mathematics. So when all the topics related with the algebraic skills, so they will be have an issue on it. So issues in learning algebra is raised up, especially in lower started with the lower secondary school until the university level. So the issues is problematic that happen is a reflect in the team's performance by the Malaysian student in 2019, where the lowest score of the algebra in the lowest point rather than the other domains. Okay, the problem statement. Why students have a difficulties in mastering the algebraic skill? Because they have a problems in conceptual knowledge and the procedural stage. There's a big concern why they have problems in mastering the algebraic skill. So in the mastering algebraic skills, is supported by the students' perceptions that factorization in algebraic fraction was the top three most difficult topics in mathematics Form 2. So this is the issues in algebra. So therefore, issues in instruments is on the development of the cognitive diagnostics assessment, development of the instruments that involving the Q metric. Q metric is the attributes, the choosing of the related attributes. When we are choosing the related attributes, it will based on human judgment for the expert subject matter. So when we relying on the human judgment, there must be an error will be occurred. Therefore, without the clarity of choosing attributes, result may far from precisions. So in Malaysia, CDA deeply focusing on student strength and weaknesses, analysis of error and mastery state. Latest done by the Chi 2020 and SIA 2019 in topic time for the primary students and HOR in 2015 for the algebraic expression in a Form 2. And my study also in a Form 2 in algebra but in the factoring of the algebraic fractions. Okay, so in master algebra expression also shows that inconsistent of the performance according to the gender. So inconsistent will result the gender performance in various topic in mathematics. So we want to see whether KSS implemented in the subject of the algebra, whether they have a performance, which one is better, the female or the male students. So during the process, the development of the items, we want to detect the item bias that give an advantage to other groups. So whether the item why I why the bias can be occurred. So we need to improvise the question or to eliminate the questions. Next, the research objective and research questions. Number one, they have a three research in this paper. The first to determine the consistency of the student-based cognitive response and the expert-based cognitive models in mastery of factorization algebraic fractions in CTA. So the research question with, are the student-based cognitive response consistent with the expert-based cognitive model in learning factorization algebraic expression in CDA? And number two is develop the Q metric in order to arrange the attributes according to the difficulty level following the attribute hierarchical method cognitive model. So, to what extent is the developed cognitive diagnostic assessment is valid and reliable? So, number three is to identify students' algebraic skill in terms of mastery and non-mastery according to conceptual knowledge and procedural skill of each attribute in CDA. So, we want to identify for the research question, are the attribute probabilities of each attribute follow difficulties level in the CDA? Okay, for the theoretical framework, we combine the assessment triangle and the evidence-centered design, where the evidence-centered design will map onto the vertices of the cognitive reality assessment triangle. So, I'll start with the cognition, where the domain analysis mapped onto cognition. So we are developing a cognitive model based on AHM, attribute hierarchical method. And the observation vertex domain model will mapping into the observation to executing the diagnostic task. Then interpretation is the conceptual framework, assessment framework, where the psychometric and statistical analysis will be implemented for this vertex to determine the mastery and mastery attributes and items, and also the consistency between the models. Okay, so research question involving the mixed method, where involving the qualitative method and quantitative method. So qualitative method more to development of the CDA by identifying and extracting the related attributes and constructing the validation of Q matrices. So the quantitative method more to the statistical analysis, so the data processing with the CDM, the report clarification of pattern of mastery of attribute probability. So, to determine the validity and the reliability is relying on the process of the pilot study. So, the content validity is determined by the percentage of agreement by the experts. Construct validity is the process of the attribute probabilities sets between the attributes. So it means that the increase of level complexity of the items will show expectation will show the lesser value of attribute probability, because the more complex, the lower score of the students. So the reliability will use the Crowbatch alpha. So the actual research was implemented to the Kedah and Penang state form to students, and the types of the items will be the multiple choice. Population sampling, so sorry, this is actually stratified sampling. We will be implementing in Kedah and Penang state as population target. So Kedah will involve the 31,268 students, and Penang will be 15,132 students. So such a sampling will be implemented where the school will be chosen based on the average performing schools, where it's determined by the JPN. So we need to the average score because we can get the range of abilities of the students. When it comes to the classroom, we also choose based on the abilities of the students, but based on the school administration, we stratify for the second times. The next one will be the Penang sample size will be chosen is a 377 and Kedah will be 380. total will be 757. These will be choose based on the Critch-Morgan's table. So the total is 757. However, due to unexpected situation like a students not give a full cooperation, not answer the question, not answer the assessment, and not give a full cooperation of the assessment, and also not absent on that day. So we want to avoid all these problems happen to us. So we choose the 1,000 samples to back up the problems that come out later. So, the research instrument of CDA involved the five attributes, two cognitive models, for one attribute involving the three items based on ALF 2020. Therefore, how many items involved if is 5 times 2 times 3 items. The total will be 30 items involved. So the type of the items will be multiple choice questions. So the data analysis, the first research objective to determine the consistency between the cognitive model of student response and the expert-based model is hierarchical consistency index HSCI. And number two, to develop the Q matrix, we using the Boolean metric according to the arrangement using the permutation and combination of formula. So to identify the student algebra skill in terms of mastery and mastery level, so we use the machine deep learning is attribute probability artificial neural network, whether it SPSS using the SPSS or in MATLAB. Thank you so much.